Tony, do you know what's scarier than oil rigs in the middle of nowhere?
I can think of a few things, but what do you think is scarier?
The fact that Scottish people are real.
Oh, there's no way. You can't convince me of that.
This is this is Tangerine on horror games that I've been playing over October. Honestly, didn't play
Jesus!
as many. I can't stop sharing. Horror games that I've been playing over October. I really didn't play that many horror games this October. I played like five-ish.
No,
Like usually I'm like, I think last year I played like 10 or something crazy like that, like a load of them. But I think I played more like Asian dating FMVs this October than I did like
You got
Halloween.
distracted.
Yeah, I got distracted.
I
But this
I got distracted by like a Warhammer game somehow.
this is Still Wakes the Deep, which came out a few months before Halloween, but I was like, oh, I was waiting for it to get patched, and then I was like, oh, I'll play it for Halloween. It is a... Best way to describe this is basically... Oh, I'm trying to think how much I want to say about like what's going on here. You basically are on a oil rig in the Scottish Sea, and at the start of the game, you pretty much figure out that you've basically fled the police to get here. So, like, the story is you were, you got into an altercation with another person in Scotland, and then you basically attacked them. They called the police. You fled to this oil rig, and then your boss is found out, and then shit goes down on this oil rig. And it's kind of like soured the relationship between this guy and his wife, and like, and then we'll just use weird eldritch horror concepts to explore that relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, Still Wakes the Deep is an incredibly like strange game, but it's also like an incredibly familiar game in a lot of ways, because when I'm playing it, I'm like, I'm noticing so many like UK things in the game as well.
Oh,
Like,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I don't
Very
need the subtitles for the characters.
recognizable.
Oh,
No,
look at this. The
if you're American, I assume you really need help with the. I mean, if you like any like, but it's like specifically American, they tend to have problems with the.
oh look,
Scottish
I'm gonna
and,
pause. I'm gonna
English
pause here,
accents.
Tony. Look at jellied veg and ham.
No.
Bean surprise per oxtails, curried fish rice, ring. I'm like, bro, some of the horror, I'm just reading the menu on this oil rig, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like jellied vegetables. That is true horror.
That's the real horror. The meals we found along the way.
But it's like, what was I gonna say? Like, English people love putting baked beans and everything, and like,
Oh yeah.
we said this on baked bean facts before, but the UK consumes like 97% of the world's baked bean supply. But
Well, what I take from that is that only we eat baked beans. That's how I interpret
I think
that.
they eat them in America, maybe. But I think most of the world.
I think a little bit, but not as much.
They definitely have some
I think
sort of
it's like
beans.
Oh yeah, there's beans. Beans get used for other things. It just tends to not be baked beans, from what I know.
So something else. So this is made by the Chinese Room, and if you don't know, the Chinese Room is is a thought experiment about whether you could, if you inputted Chinese into a room and you had a person who didn't speak Chinese translating it based on a set of description, but based on a book with instructions in it that didn't speak Chinese, how would you be able to tell if? And then they outputted that outside of the room. How would you be able to tell if the person in there is a person or a computer? I think is the general idea of the Chinese Room.
It was like a criticism of the Turing test, effectively.
Yeah. Which I had no idea until I finished the game and told my psychologist friend. And he said, "Oh, the Chinese Room, like the experiment." And I went, "I've never heard of this. What's the Chinese Room?" But I guess that makes a lot of sense why their company would be named after like interesting psychological thought experiments.
Yeah. Considering the games they made, that makes a lot of sense.
But I think like their first big game they made was like Dear Esther. Like they've been
Yeah.
they've been making walking sims for a long time, and Still Wakes the Deep is very much another walking sim.
Yeah.
I think
this be a bad thing. Depends what makes it interesting, or like what you get out of it. But
because they've done like Amnesia Machine for Pigs. They've done like Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. The only game I think I've played before this was Little Orpheus, which was a game I played on the I played the Apple Arcade version, which was basically you're like a cosmonaut in like Soviet Russia that goes down to like some sort of fictional world underneath the earth that may or may not be real, like sort of thing. It's interesting, yeah. But it is very much that same sort of gameplay mechanics of you're mostly walking, and then it's, you know, light stealth, light platforming, basically. Oh, by the way, did you see that?
Atmospheric.
Did you see that bright yellow ventilation system? This game has very heavy yellow paint. If you don't like that stuff, you can turn it off. I left it on. I don't like being confused. So I was like, I'm going to leave the yellow paint on. But even though I specifically didn't turn it off, even I was like, man, this yellow paint is heavy, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. Look at that. That's Halloween.
Yeah, something horrific is happening to. So basically, what happens is,
and that's great.
you're on this oil rig, and then there's something in the water, and like you basically through an accident fall into the water, and just in by itself, falling into the water on an oil rig would be fucking terrifying because you just get dropped in the middle of nowhere, like huge fall, and it's like freezing cold water. Like the chances of survival are not great anyway. But like
they'd have to go and get you immediately.
But then there's this great like feeling of like something's corrupted the oil, and like the oil gets into you, sort of thing. But basically, the general thing that starts happening on board of this oil rig is, it seems like a lot of people have been corrupted by something that's happening. I'm being very unspecific to avoid spoilers for people who want to go out and play this game.
It's the whole thing to discover. Like you don't want to.
I mean, it only took ruin it. Like the whole game. I think only took me like 2 to 3 hours to complete. Like it's not a very long game.
Oh, is that the whole length? Okay, right.
Yeah. I would say
there's one problem with like highly detailed walking sims.
2 to 4 hours. I just went based on what the Xbox app told me, so I'm not sure. Because I've had it in the past and not be that accurate, but I would say like 2 to 4 hours is probably a safe bet for how long it took me.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about the ending, like, but it's, to me, like, I'm watching it, it's like it seems like suddenly like come to an end. I don't know. I kind of expected a little bit more for me personally.
But I think the real like strength of not only this game but the other Chinese room games I've played is like the atmosphere is fucking phenomenal. Like just walking through these environments, and it feels like they feel like real lived-in environments where everything's like they've got the nuts and bolts down. You know, if you're gonna make a walking simulator, you want the environments to be good, like the environmental storytelling, and I think it generally is really good. And then number 2,
they're very good at that.
Interesting characters. And I think for the most part, I did really like the characters of Still Wakes the Deep. You have this whole story going on about, you know, what's going on? Your boss has found out that you were in this altercation with the police, and it's now soured the relationship with your family. You have this whole like dynamic of your friends on the boat. Like you have your friend who's a chef, but he's like diabetic, so you're trying to get like his medicine for him as well. So you have to like put yourself at risk to go through these areas of the oil rig. And as you go across the oil rig, certain areas become like flooded and, you know, get destroyed. And like you like almost like physically start to almost learn the where stuff is on this oil rig, right? I wish there was more time for that. So, like like a game with fucking amazing, like one of the best developers in the world for environmental storytelling atmosphere is got to be Arcane, and like pre 2017. Like by the time I'd finished pre 2017, I knew the spaceship like the back of my hand, and that was over like several hours. This game, I wish you just had more time to like get settled into the environment, and I wish there was more. I don't know. Maybe I wish there was more like
exploration, maybe. Like non-linear exploring,
but more reasons to explore. I feel like
100%. But yeah,
I wish there was slightly more gameplay, but then I feel like the strength of this company is not necessarily gameplay, so I don't know if I would want more like full stealth sections or stuff like that.
I don't. Yeah, but I feel like there's like a progression. Like, you don't need to like have it like I don't want like Ubisoft like awful stealth, right? Like I feel like we just need like maybe just like if you're a developer as a company that they do agree they want to add more gameplay, like add like a few gameplay mechanics at a time and like get good at that. I don't know what they could add that's not like that, but yeah, I just feel like some reason to go explore, like even like maybe it's like even if it's like collectibles and like an area where like or a time period like in the campaign where it's like more designed for exploring without having to like follow the story.
There was like on a time limit. Sometimes randomly the phone would ring and you could pick it up and you could have conversations, and that wasn't tied to like the main story. Oh, this is me trying to get the lifeboats off the ship. It's almost like a comedy of errors that happens while you're on the ship trying to escape. But I like how like every time somebody was calling, it had like a light on it, like, oh, this person is calling from this phone on the ship.
Oh,
would,
yeah.
It would match
really
up
cool.
and stuff. I was like, that's such a nice touch. But yeah, I thought this game was alright. Like, it wasn't too long, so it didn't like... The thing is, I'm saying I wish it was kind of longer, but I'm also like, it wasn't too long, so it didn't like overstay its welcome. Like, because I wouldn't like this game to be artificially stretched. I would like
no
more stuff to be added on top of this sort of thing to create more length, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it'd be difficult, but yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one because like what they've got, like the specific thing they're trying to go for, I can see them going, yeah, they succeeded. Just I would like a little bit more.
It's like some of my favorite walking sim games of all time. You've got stuff like The Outer Wilds, but The Outer Wilds is a super non-linear game, and this is a super linear game.
Mechanics to it. There's also mechanics to like The Outer. I don't know. I just feel like there's The Outer Wilds has a lot going for it.
But then like,
I mean, it is wait, what was the genre? The new genre? The Metroidvania.
Brainia.
Brainia, that's it.
Yeah, it's a game where you can progress further through the world once you have more knowledge.
The
Outer Wilds is almost like a detective game.
Yeah. I really appreciate that.
There was this, when I was playing the game, there was this whole mechanic of, you need to use these like heaters to warm up. And I was like, I have no idea what this does, but I did it every time, and it didn't seem to affect the gameplay at all, from what I could tell. But it felt like
someone would force you, like, you can't leave this room until you warm up.
But it feels like it's literally you're just using a fire extinguisher to put out fire. It doesn't really serve any other purpose other than being like a door in your way. But it's like nice thematically, I guess. It adds to the atmosphere.
As a door to open, adds like atmosphere and theme, like 100%. But yeah, it'd be cool if it was like it'd be cool if it was like a little bit of a gameplay thing to it, though. In my opinion. Maybe that's where they could like start fleshing stuff out in the next one. I don't know.
But if you're looking for I was about to say relaxing. If you're looking for a not relaxing walk through a fucking what's the fear of open water? Is it thalassophobia or something like that?
I've no idea.
If you're scared of water, do not play this game. Spoiler alert: there's water in this game.
I feel like if you're scared of if you're claustrophobic, I feel like you'd be scared of the interiors of this place when it gets dark. So. Fear of isolation, fear of being inside spaces, and fear of open ocean. Like I think all of these fears could.
But yeah, I played this game for Halloween, and it was on Game Pass, so I didn't buy it or anything, and it was It was pretty fun. I gave it, I think, 3 stars. I would say fairly average game overall. Like there was stuff
above average.
I would say average. I would say 3.5 stars when something's above average for me.
Oh, okay.
I think it excels in a lot of areas, but it definitely has a lot of flaws in other areas. And personally, it's not the sort of game I generally play. Like I don't have many walking simulators I've played, and I've been critical in the past of how a lot of horror games are just glorified walking simulators. Glorified puzzle games. But the thing I really enjoyed about this game is it doesn't like go, okay, here's a massive puzzle that's stupid that you have to solve, and it's just like, no, we're just gonna we're gonna put some atmospheric stuff in, light stealth, walk you through it. We'll give you yellow paint, and it's just a nice romp with interesting characters through an oil rig in Scotland.
Yeah, I would be down for more horror games.
Terrifying
just like removing the puzzles, or even like majority of the puzzles, just having more atmospheric and story walking around.
Yeah. Then next up we have Catherine. Catherine Classic. So this is if you haven't heard me talk about it on the podcast, this is one of the 4 Atlas games I've played this year, and that being Catherine Classic, Metaphor I'm currently playing. I played Persona 3 Reload, and I also played the Persona Dancing in the Moonlight, the Persona Rhythm game. But at the moment, I haven't finished Catherine Classic. I think I got about halfway through the game, and I've had to essentially drop the game, I would say.
Are you going by like how far you're into the story, or like does it give you some sort of percentage or indication how far you're through?
I played it for 4.7 hours. I think I was on...
Okay.
Let me look up Catherine chapters.
Yeah, chapters, you know where you are.
Let's have a look. The last place I was at, I was like an ice area, and I was like... I'm trying to load IGN's fucking website, and it's awful. It's trying to load like 500 ads once, and it's just fucking everything up.
And then you block the ads. Like, what? Do you want to remove the ads? No, you made it awful.
So I was at the end of Doom's Bride, which I think is the end of chapter 5, and there is 8 chapters. So I was over halfway. I think.
Beyond. Yeah.
But essentially, so I started playing Catherine. I went into it knowing it was a puzzle game, and you know me, I'm not a big fan of puzzle games. But I was so intrigued by the story of Catherine that I wanted to try and push through it.
It's an interesting story. I've never played it, but it's one I've like been on my list.
Yeah, Catherine was a game I was interested in before I started playing or knew anything about Atlas games. I was like, this looks fucking weird. Essentially, Catherine is like, from what I understand so far, is a horror romance game. I don't think there's any other game I can think of that is close to what this is, because it's like, it is kind of like a game about relationships, but it's also a game about, horror and psychological horror.
It's like the horror feeling of relationships and like the...
but it's also very... gameplay... It's like... Gameplay-wise, it's like almost like a Persona game in terms of it's split up between making relationship decisions and then there's a gameplay thing inside of the world, but it's not a Pokemon RPG. It's a tile-based puzzle game with a timer.
Oh, you're saying like the separation between two different elements of game,
and how they interact with each other.
Yeah. That is a hallmark of Atlas, isn't it?
Yeah. There's just no game like Catherine. I think that's probably the biggest positive I can give to this game. No one's making Catherine likes, Can you think of another game that's like this?
No, I genuinely can't, but I genuinely feel like we could have more. maybe not like I think I feel like you can do it in lots of different ways of like lots of different double aspects of it, or like I don't know. I just thought you could, but no, I can't think of any. I don't know any. Like,
Yeah, so
even
I should
comes close.
explain like the basic idea of Catherine. So there's this guy called
Yeah.
Vincent, and it starts off and he has a girlfriend called Catherine, with a K. I think there's two Catherines. One's with a K and one's with a C. So basically, you're in this relationship with your girlfriend. She's like, "Oh, everyone around us is getting married. Why? We've been dating for a long time. What's going on?" And you're just like, he's kind of scared of commitment, Vincent. And
Yeah.
essentially, what happens is he goes to the bar, he gets really drunk, and he wakes up, and there's another woman in his bed called Catherine. And it's like you basically go through these days of you spend your time at this bar and you interact with characters at the bar, and you can like text message your girlfriend Catherine and the new Catherine, and based on your responses it moves this bar that's like good or bad actions. And the entire time I was just like, I have no fucking idea what's going on. It's interesting, but this is so confusing. And then like every time you go to sleep, you wake up in the dream world, and every time you go to the dream world, you have no memories of the outside world, and in the outside world, you have no memories of the dream world. So you can't like use them together, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it asks you these questions. It's like, do you put your job as your first priority? And it like tells you which one you pick depends on which option you get. Because I'm guessing there's branches choices that change the story. And I'll get into why that's important at the end. Like, and I also like after you make these choices in the confessional booth, it tells you like what other players picked, which I think is really adds this like whole like player
cool.
multiplayer aspect to it, like social
Yeah.
aspect.
How similar are you to other people?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I do like those sort of stats.
Well, because like I was playing Metaphor recently, and when you're in a dungeon, at any point you can hit a button, and it'll basically pop up on your screen. It'll be like, other people who played this dungeon use these team compositions. If you want to look at them and maybe use these ones
Cool.
to help you
Yeah,
kind
that's
of clear
cool
it.
if you're getting, yeah,
Yeah.
if you're getting stuck.
But yeah, so like the cool thing. So when you're in the dream, so okay, so there's a lot to fucking explain. So I need to get all my ducks in a row. When you're in the dream, everyone you see looks like a sheep. So to everybody else, I am not Vincent with horns and underwear. I am a sheep. And this is probably metaphorical for like, being a sheep and, whatever. But
I guess
when
being
you're
lost without being able to know one to turn to, is that the idea?
yeah. When you're climbing these towers, sometimes there's giant horrific monsters that are chasing you up the towers.
Yeah.
But the actual monsters are kind of reflect what's happening in real life. Like, for example, there's this one day where your girlfriend is talking about children, and you're thinking, oh, it's like... Because I was like, oh, I'm going to break up with my bitch girlfriend, Catherine with a K. She doesn't give a fuck about me. And then she's like, by the way, I just took a pregnancy test. And I'm like, oh, shit. I can't break up with Catherine with a K. We're going to have a kid together. And then when you go into the dream, there's a giant fucked up baby chasing you up a tower, like inside your dream. And I'm like, this is so interesting on so many like psychological levels. So stuff that happens in the real world affects the dream, and dream stuff affects the real world because the sheep that you interact with, you can start to recognize them at the bar. Because I was like, oh, there's this journalist guy at the bar, and he looks a lot like this sheep I keep interacting with in my dream, and he sounds very similar to him as well. Because you can talk to the other sheep that are inside the world, and you can share techniques with each other. So you can be like, this is the spider technique. This is the bridging technique. There's like a narrator guy
as well.
who tells you, different techniques, and you can choose to share them because these sheep have come to like distrust each other because like some sheep are like nice, but some sheep have started like pushing people off, and some sheep set traps, and it's all like you can't trust the sheeps, but you can also not tell the sheeps apart. But you're also a sheep, so people could see you and think, "Oh, I don't trust him." Like it's very psychological, this game, because like I'm playing this game and I'm climbing this tower and I'm like, there's a fucking sheep in my way and he's trying to push me off. I'm going to push him off the fucking tower. He's not getting up this tower. So I fucking kill sheep as well because I'm like, they're in my fucking way. I don't want them to get in my way. I'm trying to get up this bloody tower. And yeah, so basically what's happening in the real world though is a bunch of like young lonely men. I think is it lonely men? But young men keep waking up dead. Like, they're waking up and they're completely dead. And it seems like if you don't climb this tower, you will eventually die. Like, I've got the game over state in this game. I've got the game over state in this game, and it just shows, like, a scene of, like, a crime scene investigation in Vincent's bedroom, and he's fucking dead. He just wakes up dead.
Right.
So there's this real constant threat of, like, oh, shit, I have to get out of this nightmare, basically. It's not a dream. I would say it's more of a fucking nightmare. Like, it is constant threat you're under, right?
A monster's dream that you're... Or monsters in your dream, and then, depending on what happens, you die, I guess?
Yeah, but then there's also, like... So, there's also, like, a block system. Sorry, there's...
gameplay.
I was going to say that there's, like, a... There's a pillow system. So pillows are like your lives.
Oh. Yeah.
So if you run out of pillows, I guess the game ends. I don't know. I never got that far. And then there's also goals you can collect. And goals are important because you can buy items to help you in the levels outside of... So there'll be a merchant in the... inside the in-between level areas where the confessional booth is, and you can share techniques. And there's basically this really fat sheep, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to collect as much gold as possible because I believe if I get rich, I'll be able to get out of this nightmare. So he's basically selling things that help you in the nightmare.
Right.
Because he believes that's what's going to be the key to getting out. But I'm playing in the easiest mode possible, which gives you an undo button. Because I was like, it's a puzzle game. I'm not going to be able to navigate this. And for the most part...
a timed puzzle game with like limited moves?
Yeah, so the boss levels are timed because you have this constant threat of a boss coming. But like the earlier levels without the bosses are okay because I could be like, okay, I can just take this slowly and try every single, option.
Yeah.
The point where I fucking lost it was Doom Bride, where they introduced this mechanic of ice tiles. And if you step on an ice tile, you'll just keep sliding in that direction, and it's so easy to fall off. And if you fall off, you'll immediately fail a level, so you can't use your undo because you can't undo sliding off the edge. So you're just constantly sliding off the edge of this fucking thing. And then not only that, there's this giant bride chasing you up the fucking tower. So not only is it an ice level, it's a timed puzzle ice level, and I tried it several times, and I was like, "There's no way." Like I could force myself through this, but I don't like sliding block puzzles. I hate timed based puzzles. I hate ice stuff, and then I understand that as Catherine goes along, the puzzles become more and more impossibly hard to a point that in the re-release of Catherine called Catherine Full Body Mode, they have a game mode where you can entirely skip puzzles because they said this shit was too hard. We understand that people literally can't play this because these puzzles are impossible.
I play puzzle games that are designed to be puzzle games, and they almost always have unlimited undos. So the fact you have limited undos is crazy.
What was I going to say? Oh, alcohol was big in Catherine. Like, Catherine is a much more adult game than Atlas normally does, because Persona is usually set in, high schools. But then Catherine, you have, you can drink, you go to a bar every night and you smoke, and how much beer you drink dictates how fast you can run in the dream. Oh, we'll get into adult sections very soon. You know, we've got some. This is the other Catherine.
The real Catherine.
Both Catherines are real. They both exist in the real
Okay.
world.
Marriage is just a tradition, right? Seriously, who wants to be tied down?
But then,
But
like this,
where are you sleeping where the other Catherine isn't there though?
you don't stay together in the same apartment. You're not married. This is something
Oh.
I learned recently. People
What?
because this is a Japanese game. If
Yeah.
people aren't married, it's not uncommon for them to live apart until they get married.
Men aren't the only ones who fear being
Right.
shamed down.
So
That's
like
crazy, though.
Catherine with a K, she's your long-term girlfriend, but you live separately.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, okay.
We think alike.
And then I guess like maybe it's also to do with I don't know if the bar's called Stray Sheep, which I don't know if is like symbolic of something. Like there's a lot going on in this game. What was I saying?
What is it?
I'm just thinking about so much stuff like the amount of like small details, and I'm so confused what's going on in the story. Like, and I don't know if like Catherine with a K is evil or Catherine with a C is evil, or if I'm evil or what's going on. Like,
I think the death was something to do with this. That's my personal.
someone keeps turning me into a fucking sheep and making me play sliding block puzzles. I like
Someone is sus.
because I like the idea that every time you go through these nightmares, it's like actual literal nightmares. And it's like the entire time, all the dialogue is like, this is hell. I can't believe we're having to do this. And I'm like, for me, this literally is hell because I can't do these fucking sliding block puzzles. And I was like, that's a great gameplay element because it's forcing me through literal hell to try and go through it.
But I don't mind.
But even then, I was like, I think I have to drop this game because I literally can't play it. Like I'm trying my hardest.
And you can't play the game with the mode where you can skip the.
The thing is, like,
The
because I'm so interested to go through this game to see the story, but I can't watch a gameplay video on YouTube because the game has specific choices that I would make in the game that would change the outcome of the game. So if I watch somebody else's playthrough, I wouldn't have my playthrough. I want to know what happens based on my decisions.
Yeah.
Because there's these constant choices of how do you have this phone that you go through in the in-between bar sections, and you can reply to like Catherine with the K and Catherine C, but each individual word changes based on what you choose. And I don't know how much like impact that has, but it's like you can choose to not reply at all.
Yeah. There might be like lots of small things that are not like you don't see if you don't do certain things that isn't like impactful of the whole thing, I suppose, which you would miss. Yeah, I guess like you're not a personalized experience if you just watch it.
But yeah, I'd say like Catherine is a really interesting game, but I want to play Catherine full body, but to this day it's still a PS4 exclusive.
Yeah.
Atlas does this thing where they don't always re-release their games on different platforms. Like it took ages for the Persona 5 to come to PC, and then they released Catherine Classic in like 2019, but then like full body was like a console exclusive. And then full body even has like unique music, new characters, new like modes. Like it Atlas does this thing where they basically re-release the same game and make an enhanced version, and they don't always like put it on every platform. It's like they came out like Vanilla Unicorn that they published came out this year. It's only on Switch, I believe, like no other platform.
Oh, it's one right. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that on re-release the other version to skip the blocks.
Yeah, but if it's to a point where they literally added a mode to skip puzzles, it's not just me. I swear to God.
Yeah, it's not my sort of puzzles either. So
the top review on Catherine Classic is Baiting players with promise of nudity and sexual content to lock them in hell and force them to solve 3D puzzles under time pressure. Good job, devs. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend.
I just think maybe it should actually be hell.
If like the nightmare sections are designed to be like hell, bravo, because they are hell for me.
Yeah.
My current plan is I've put this game on hold and I will play Catherine Full Body when it eventually either one, it'll get released on PC, or two, PS4 emulation. Shad PS4, I'll be able to. I played the Persona rhythm game on the experimental PSP emulator. I think Catherine Full Body might actually be on the PS Vita. I do think Catherine Full Body is on the PS Vita, but I think I checked, and it's one of the few games that it's one. I don't think it's not supported on Vita 3K, so that you can't emulate it right now. I literally checked,
Right?
Because I picked the Persona Rhythm game to play on the Vita emulator, and it's one of the few games that's actually supported just randomly. I just lucked out when I played that one.
He just okay, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think I've played over half of Catherine, and I think I like this game, but it sucks that I can't finish this game, and I really want to. And maybe it's a skill issue, but it's not one I'm willing to put myself through, you know? Because I just generally... I literally, if someone made a mod that let me skip puzzles or just, took time constraints away from puzzles, I'd be more than happy to keep playing. But I looked, there's no mod that does that. And the full body version is not available on PC.
That sucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even though I think I like this game...
Yeah, it's a really
on PC. It's a tough game to play, and it's a tough game to recommend.
Yeah,
but again,
no PS4 though.
I don't have a PS4.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
That's a problem.
Or even couldn't you do let me just buy a PS5 Pro so I can play Catherine Full Body through backwards compatibility?
Yeah, so it's a real power play.
Yeah. The power of the PS5 Pro right there.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the only reasons I would get a PS5 Pro.
We should just get a PS5 at that point, if that's what you're going to do. Wait for a sec. Yeah, say a second-hand PS5.
Yeah, but if I got a PS5, I wouldn't be able to have Pisser, and I'm just a big fan of Pisser, you know.
You want this? Okay.
Yeah. Let's move on. Scorn, not me, a different Scorn.
A different kind of Scorn.
This was another game I played on Game Pass. It's very H.R. Geiger, that very biomechanical horror thing. By the way, apologies for the recording quality. I recorded this when I just reinstalled OBS on my computer, so the bitrate is kind of fucked. But it's fine because I don't like this game, so we don't have to look at it for too long.
This will be a short one.
Yeah, so
it looks great, but
it looked great visually, and I was like, "Oh, interesting." And I even saw
I suspected it'd be a walking sim.
I saw this weird biomechanical fucking flesh gun. I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
Can it be cool. Doom? Can I shoot shit? Will it be interesting?" I load into the game. This is literally the intro of the game, and it is one of the most confusing, convoluted walking sim puzzles I've ever played. And I was like, this is literally the intro to the game, and I'm like, this is set it off on such a bad foot. In my eyes,
yeah, there's a lot of games, horror games like this. There's a cool concept, but contrived puzzles and just walking and. I mean, don't get me wrong. I guess it's good to walk in cool environments, but yeah.
Again, I admit it. Puzzle stuff, it may be one of my weaknesses in games, but maybe I was thinking about I've been doing the year of Japan this year. I was thinking about next year. I was thinking about doing the year of fighting games because I'm really bad at fighting games, and I was like, but I'm interested in PvP stuff. I like the idea of fighting games, Maybe I should have a year where I only play puzzle, or try and play as many puzzle games as possible to try and force myself to get good at puzzle games.
I think even not having fun, or, I don't know. I feel like like flying in Japan, you were interested in it. Like I feel like if you're not,
I mean, there's puzzle games I really like. Like I love Portal,
Yeah.
but that's also one of the greatest puzzle games ever made.
Cocoon.
Cocoon's fun, but it's very much it's been described as a puzzle game that wants you to complete it.
But I feel like that's the thing. Is like I feel like there's like, I don't know, like there's like extreme puzzle games. It's like well crafted, like but like Bad News You is like I feel like maybe a harder puzzle game, but like is like very well done. And I feel there's a lot of puzzle games, but like they're very mediocre, like not well play tested. I would say not as fun. Like I feel like you can have puzzles as like you solved it, but like does that make it more fun by just being more hard?
But yeah, I just finish up with Scorn. Yeah, it just kind of seems like aimlessly walking. Like it looks good, but I think gameplay wise, it just did not feel great to play at all. It was just very dull and not, just heavy. Immediately was like, here's the deep end. Here's a confusing puzzle. I'm like, well, not for me. I tried for like 30 minutes, an hour, and I was like, okay, I'm done. If I put it on Game Pass, I'll try something else.
Yep. I'll say this is very much what I expected. Like, there's quite a few horror games like this, was like the idea is kind of just walk slowly around. Maybe not slowly, but walk around and embrace things, but then do puzzles in between.
Let's talk about another puzzle game I played. This is Somerville, and this is a game created from one of the devs of Limbo and Inside. Those like original devs. It's called Jump Ship, and this is very much on that same line of, slow-paced puzzle platformer. I would say it is like in terms of like how it plays, it is very similar to like didn't I come up with a name for them? For like those games, Limbo likes, didn't I call them or something?
I have a category on Steam that I've called Limbo like. So like I was like, you know what? There's a lot of games I would actually put under Limbo like.
Yeah, there's like a Little
Nightmares.
Not too many, but would be another.
Yeah, Little Nightmares.
What was it I played?
What else I put in there?
A couple months ago, I played Bramble, the Mountain King, was very much like this.
Yeah, 100%. And I can't find it on my list anymore. Where have I gone? I definitely called it Limbo like. Oh, I put Inmost on there as well. I can't remember what that one was. But yeah, there's a certain style of like, I guess it's more of like arguably like a subgenre in a way, or like a sub theme. But like it's definitely like things I would put on as like this is definitely like Limbo.
But yeah, so this has a lot of like concepts that the other games had. It's very like atmospheric game. It's much more about like the art and the feeling and the story. And basically, this is a story of sci-fi, I would say, more than anything. It is, and I'm talking not like zombies or like like sci-fi as in like I'm talking sci-fi as in like actual UFOs sort of thing, like extraterrestrials coming down sort of thing.
I guess it's conspiracy sci-fi. I don't know what that we call it, contemporary sci-fi maybe.
But yeah,
like stuff that you can see now.
I'd say like it starts off very much like here's your family. And then basically an alien invasion starts, and that's where like everything starts, sort of thing. And basically, you start off as the little ginger kid, which I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I think it is interesting to go around this environment. Again, it's kind of spooky sometimes, but then you get to go around the same environment as the dad, and you're like, oh, this is a very different, not having to climb over lots of boxes to get over child gates and stuff like that, But it's like the thing with these sort of games is they are very much like gameplay liked. It is very much more about like
Yes.
The story and the atmosphere. And basically, the main story behind this one is aliens invade, shit goes down, and then... So we can skip ahead. Here's some aliens. Basically, you get an alien crash lands in your basement. You like touch hands with him, and he transfers these powers to you. And then you basically pass out. You get separated from your family. And then the story is you're just trying to go across the world and use these powers in order to reunite your family. That's kind of the... I think there's... Is there any dialogue in this game? I'm actually just thinking. I don't think there is any words that are spoken. I might be wrong.
Didn't need it.
Yeah. Again, I could be wrong, but I think it is just like... Mostly like just gestures between characters. Like the story was conveyed in a good way where I could understand exactly what was going on just by, what was happening on the screen, sort of thing.
Yeah,
like it is very, these games are very much set up as like films. Like we have like our 21 by 9, like we have like our letterboxing.
Oh yeah.
Like these sort of games are very much set up like films, but then they have that more interactable element to them where they have the puzzle to them. So the general gameplay is you have these powers that let you terraform parts of the world in order to move objects, or you can move these weird balls around. But yeah, I thought this game was alright. I'll tell you how long it took me to complete based on what Xbox told me again. I think it's 3.5 hours. So again, quite a short game.
Not too long. Yeah.
And I gave this one 3 stars as well as the Still Waits the Deep. So it's like, it's like a short little walking simulator puzzle game. Again, I've said it before, I feel like a lot of horror games are just atmospheric walking simulator stuff.
Yep.
Is
there talking here?
Yeah. But yeah, I played this on Game Pass as well. It was going off Game... I don't think you can play on Game Pass now because I think it was going off Game Pass. Like,
that's where you played it.
Yeah. Well, it was Halloween. I was like, it's going off Game Pass in a couple of weeks. I'll play it now. I might as well give it a go. And I thought it was all right. So. Yeah. And then let's talk about a final game. Spookware. Tony, have you ever wanted to play Spooky WarioWare?
I can't say that I've thought about wanting to do that, no.
But that is exactly what this game, but is also not what this game is about. I haven't finished this game, so there's another one I haven't finished. I haven't 100% dropped this one, but I've just been moving on and playing other stuff. But this game is split up into 2 parts. You have like this like WarioWare element where it's like, here's a bunch of random spooky minigames that you need to clear. But then the game kind of turns into this like narrative RPG where you kind of walk around talking to characters sort of thing in between the tapes. And I like WarioWare stuff. Like I'm a fan of... I've played a lot of the WarioWare games and I like playing their the indie-inspired ones that come up on Steam. So it is interesting to like, see a different perspective on it. No, do you like the WarioWare stuff? Do you like these little timed mini games?
No, I don't mind it. I think I said before, like, but I'm actually a big fan of mini games in bigger games. I wouldn't play them by itself, which is kind of my problem with WarioWare or WarioWare-like games.
I think WarioWare works so well because of the timer, where if you sat down and it was like, here's this really simple mini game. You have like, a couple of minutes to figure it out. You may be like, oh, okay, I'm kind of bored of this.
I think as well, like, I think it has 2 things. Like, you got the timer and you've got like the variedness, and like you're then quickly switching between them. Like, I think that does help it. I don't know what. Again, I need to create another genre of games for WarioWare-like games, minigame games. I don't know. Minigame challenges, maybe.
Yeah, time minigame challenge things.
Because that's kind of what they are.
It is like the chaos of the game.
Yeah.
It's like what makes it interesting. It's being like, oh, okay, what the fuck's going on? Let me figure it out quickly. Okay, done.
Yeah.
And then, like, going back and playing it after that point you can kind of be like, oh, I liked this one, let's put those. Because there's sort of like cassette tapes in your basement, and you can then be like pick and choose which tapes you like, and as you play through the different chapters, you can unlock more tapes, and you can put together the ones you want to play, which I think is cool.
Yeah. I just feel like the mini games in like the older like PS2, maybe some PS3, so more PS2 era stuff.
This is the boss where you've got to stack a bunch of decks with the correct suit. And I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm a Balatro main. I'll be able to do this.
I was going to say, this is Balatro?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Was it Nosferatu?
Yeah. My boy. They're making a new Nosferatu game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I did see that. Oh, we'll see.
But it has like the in-between section. So I was like, if the game was only tapes, I might like it more potentially. Or I might like it less because I'm like, oh, I wish there was something more interesting going on. But it's like, it's kind of in between because it has these sections where you and your Skelly bros are walking around and going on a trip. And the first trip you go on is you go to school. You basically walk up to the fucking school and you're like, oh, you're supposed to be registered here. So they just automatically like put you in here. It's very much like a comedy game, I would say. For the most part. But I would say, like, there's some interactions with characters that I liked, but for the most part, the interactions with characters are kind of pointless and not that interesting. You're kind of just... It's like, you can walk around and talk to people, but they'll just, like, say really generic stuff that's not very interesting most of the time. But, like, when they actually get into, like, the meat and bones humor of it, it's interesting where... Because you're wearing red, they're like, oh, you're part of the... Like, for this specific chapter, they're like, oh, you're part of the school orchestra. And you're a professional bongo player, aren't you? And you're like, yeah, I'm a professional bongo player. And it's like, I don't believe you. Play against me. So all of the mini games in this section are bongo-themed rhythm games. And I'm like, this is great. Like, this is the stuff I really like.
Yeah.
And then basically, cool. You have to go around the school finding different... you have to build a band, and to build the band, you have to challenge them to this mini game, and then that mini game plays into like oh, I have to play the bongos against this guy. I'll see if I can find a section of this to show you what I'm talking about. I don't know if I have gameplay of it. There we go. And a 1 and a 2. And I'm like, I just started playing a bunch of rhythm games like past couple of years. I love this shit. Give me more WarioWare themed rhythm games. But then I've finished this section and I've gone on to like a murder mystery ship. And like I've snuck onto a ship and someone's been murdered and like, oh, we need someone to solve this mystery. And it's interesting, but I'm also like, this really slows down the pace of WarioWare.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I feel like the one where like, if you have to use the mini games more often with the extra stuff happening, that would make more sense.
I think what I don't like about this game is it feels like the weird RPG stuff takes away from the WarioWare stuff, and the WarioWare stuff takes away from the weird RPG stuff. And I wish they would commit to one because it doesn't feel like it's a sum that's greater than its parts in a weird way.
Yeah. I think you commit to one or like find a better way to integrate them or like make it. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I've played a few hours of this and I've played like 2.5 like levels, chapters, whatever they're called, and I'm like, it's okay, but there's nothing where I'm like, oh, I need to go back and play Spookware. So I'm either gonna, drop this and not think about it, or I might just come back and play it casually. I'm not sure, but at the moment, like I feel like I've played enough Spookware to say my thoughts about it, because I've heard that once you've finished like a bunch, because they're split up into chapters and episodes, and I was looking this up what happened with this game because it's kind of weird. So they inside the game they have episodes 1 and 2, and and each episode has 3 chapters. So I've played almost an entire episode of the game, and then they were like, okay, because you finish chapter 2 or episode 2, and you go into episode 3, and it's like coming soon, basically, and it's like, wait, what the fuck? Because initially they released on itch.io, and they were like, okay, we'll make the game, but then we'll add episodes 3 and 4 later. But then it turns out that they just ended the development of this game and they never finished it.
Okay, interesting.
And then they were like, oh, people assumed like, okay, the developers Beeswax, they just didn't want to work on it anymore. But then they put out a statement saying they wanted to basically keep working on the game, but DreadXP wasn't letting them or something. So it's like it was very confusing what was going on.
It's a weird relationship if that's the case. I'm not sure how that works. Okay.
Let's have a look. So there's a statement on their Steam store page I'll read. When we signed up for DreadXP for SPOOKWARE, the contract had funding outlined for all 4 episodes, but only the first 2 episodes were guaranteed funding. DreadXP wasn't obliged to fund the remaining episodes if it wasn't viable. After the game didn't sell as well as everyone had hoped, it didn't make financial sense to keep the contract going. At this point, development stopped when episode 2 was done and the contract was completed. We were very fortunate that after we knew funding on SPOOKWARE would be ending, we were able to secure funding for our new game, No Players Online, and we've been focusing on that project ever since. We want to make it clear that since last year, DreadXP returned the rights to us and the work on the SPOOKWARE IP, unfortunately, because we can only work on one project at a time. And so DreadXP has given the rights back, but they're also working on another game.
Yeah, you have to finish one before,
I think based on talking about my own thoughts about the game and looking at the development and what's going on with the game, like, if there's some interesting ideas and I like WarioWare stuff, but it feels like half a game in a lot of respects, and I think I'm going to drop this. I think I'm going to play something else. I'm trying to not, give in to the temptation to finish every game, because I have this completionist attitude where I'm like, if I start something, I have to finish it. And I think there's better games. Like I have Tunic on Game Pass that I've been wanting to play for so long, and I've heard Tunic is so fucking good. And I'm like, I think after I finish Metaphor, I'm going to just fucking play Tunic. I'm ready to play a Metroidvania. I'm ready to go back in.
You're ready.
Oh, I started playing Black Ops 6 as well, and I want to talk about Black Ops 6, but I've only played like a few levels of it, and I have thoughts on Black Ops. Black Ops is good. But yeah, that's the games I've been playing for Halloween, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.